Salut à tous, c'est vendredi, donc officiellement on a été une semaine en confinement et donc pour continuer mon défi d'une vidéo chaque jour pendant ce confinement, je vais parler du tic de langage le plus commun en France. So, the number one French verbal tic is du coup. I'm sure that if you live in France or if you've heard or if you listen to French programs, you must have heard it. It's very common. What is a verbal tic? Qu'est-ce qu'un tic de langage? Donc un tic de langage, ce sont des expressions, des habitudes de langage inconscientes. Ce sont des automatismes et c'est à l'oral. So these are words that we use in general, that we use very often, and it's mainly in speaking. We don't really write. For example, du coup, I wouldn't really write it in a formal email. It's just something that we say. We're going to explore when we say it and what it means, but just quickly, you know, there's so many verbal tics. So in French, il y a d'autres tics de langage, comme par exemple, tu vois, alors, en fait, t'as vu. The one that was à la mode when I was a teenager was en fait, and we were saying it all the time. So before we get into du coup, I want to have a look at some expressions that have the word coup in it, and they have something in common. Okay? So, je vais expliquer en français, puis vous avez la traduction en dessous. Donc un coup d'État, c'est quand une partie du peuple se révolte contre le gouvernement pour renverser le gouvernement. Le coup de poing, littéralement, c'est le poing et on donne un coup de poing. Le coup de foudre, c'est quand on voit une personne et que tout d'un coup, on ressent des sentiments très forts, une attraction très forte, on tombe amoureux. D'un coup, ça veut dire qu'on fait quelque chose d'un coup, donc en une fois, et que ça fonctionne tout de suite. On dit souvent d'un seul coup. D'accord? Donc, in one go. Ensuite, l'expression sur un coup de tête, ça veut dire c'est quand on prend une décision sans réfléchir. Donc, c'est sous l'impulsion du moment. Quand on est impulsif, on fait quelque chose sur un coup de tête. On prononce sur un coup de tête. If you have a look at these expressions, you can see that they all have something in common, is something that is quite sudden or that is quite powerful. And du coup is an expression that has got two meanings. Now, remember that a verbal tic, we use it to start speaking, so start a sentence, so start a conversation. So very often we use it not in the sense that it's got, but just it's meaningless, something that we use just as a filler in the language. But this word has actually got two official meaning according to l'Académie française. Et l'Académie française, it's the institution that decides what is proper French language or not, but we don't always speak proper, right? So there are two meanings. Du coup, ça veut dire quoi? La première signification de du coup, en fait, c'est l'origine du mot. So where does that word come from? It came from boxing, actually. And it was with the last punch, the one that means that the boxer would win. The example of a sentence would be le boxeur est tombé du coup de son adversaire. Et donc, c'est un synonyme de à cause de. L'autre synonyme, c'est immédiatement. Donc, par exemple, j'ai vu une voiture devant la maison et du coup, j'ai entendu sonner. So, I saw a car parked in front of the house and straight after, I heard the door rang. So, these are the official two meanings, à cause de, so because of, and immédiatement, so immediately, straight away. Du coup, the way that we actually use it means donc. Okay, we use it as a synonym of donc. Un exemple, j'ai trop faim. Du coup, je vais prendre ma pause déjeuner maintenant. So, I'm so hungry. So, I'm going to take my lunch break now. Note that we often use the word trop in French. I know it's too much, but we often use it as in so, like a lot, right? So, I'm very hungry. We can also use it at the end of a sentence. And actually, this example is a sentence I heard on the street and it inspired a podcast, an episode of a podcast, that's episode 7 of my podcast. And the sentence was, mais attends, qu'est-ce que je vais bouffer, moi, du coup? And so I guess I could translate it with, but wait a minute, what am I going to eat then? So you could translate it with then here. So it doesn't really mean anything because as we said, it is a verbal tick and we just use it all the time. Last way that young people use it, it's to start a sentence. And here it's got absolutely no meaning. It's just a way to start a sentence. Now, I'm a teacher at the university here and I teach English and I train teachers. So my students are French and after the class or during break time, they come and talk to me in French and they often start the sentence with du coup. Un exemple, du coup, Madame, l'essai, c'est à vous rendre pour quand? I also hear them speak to each other and very often they start the sentence with du coup. So it doesn't really mean anything. They use it all the time. This is what we call it a verbal tick. Okay? Donc, du coup, vous allez pouvoir me mettre des exemples de phrases avec du coup. Donc, du coup, passez un bon week-end. Rappelez-vous, pendant le week-end, je ne mettrai pas de vidéo, mais je vais mettre des liens utiles. Allez, bon week-end, salut!